Hey YouTubers, it's Valerie with Money Mindset Coach, and it seems to me that there are so many YouTube videos about living in the 50s or the 60s and how life was back then compared to how it is now, and how what it cost then, what it costs now. And I did some investigation and I was kind of blown away. Now, I was born in 1958. My mom and dad got married in 1950. And so the first house that they had, they built it, so it was brand new, which I guess was, that's not always an easy thing to do. But the average house back in the 50s cost $7,400. My mom and dad built their first house and paid $13,000. So they were above average when it came to the price of their house, and with it being new, of course, it's going to cost more. Rent was $42 a month. That's crazy. Now, the very first apartment that I had when I moved out, when I was 19 in 1977, I paid $141 for an apartment. And that was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, furnished apartment. Now, it was old. It had radiators, that kind of thing, but there was a garage. So that's something. A new car back in the 1950s was around $1,500. Groceries were $20 a week, and the annual salary was $3,300 a year. And I do remember in the 60s, my mom and dad literally talking about, if we only made $10,000 a year, we would be on Easy Street. Well, yeah, 10,000 would be a lot compared to 3,300. College tuition, $600 a year. And that's a public college. It's not a private. I don't know how much that would have been. Now, what this graph did was they adjusted everything that I just said. They adjusted for inflation now. And so basically, a house, average $90,000. That would be $90,000 now in 1950s money. Rent would be $510. A new car, this is crazy. New car, $18,000, which $18,000 for a brand new car is not really that much now. Not when people pay an average of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a car. No. But $18,000, that is adjusting for inflation from the 50s. 18 cents a gallon, I forgot to mention that. 18 cents a gallon for gas. That would be like $2.20 today. Groceries a week, $240 adjusted. $40,000 annual salary adjusted from 1950. And $7,200 to go to a public college. That's nuts. But where are we now? Being 2025. When you talk about the average house, you're talking $410,000. Your rent, $1,850. 48,000 average for a new car. $3.70 average for a gallon of gas. Groceries a week, $350 to $450. Income, $60,000 to $70,000 a year. And then college, $10,000 to $25,000 a year. Well, when you look at these numbers, you can basically see that, inflation has gone up, everything has gone up, but wages haven't really gone up to compensate for this. It's like somebody making between $60,000 and $70,000 a year, they are not going to be able to afford a $410,000 house. It's impossible. Paying rent, $1,850 for rent. You're not going to be able to do that if you're making $60,000 or $70,000. $48,000 for a new car. I gotta tell you, from everything that I've heard with the tariffs and everything, this is just my opinion, but I think used cars are going to go up in price because they're here. There's no tariff if you buy a used car that's already here in the country. So people are going to do that. They are either going to hold on to the cars they have, or they're going to buy something that's used, or maybe new that's been sitting on the lot of the dealership. Now, how are you going to know that that car has been sitting there? I just heard this, that I think what you can do is you can put in the VIN number of the car or something, and you can find out how long it's been sitting on the lot. That would be a good thing to know, because how do you know that the dealership is not going to charge you a tariff price and jacking the price up just because you don't know how long that car's been there. But used cars, the other thing is, I just heard this morning that Shein, and Temu, probably Wish is right in there. People are not going to be buying clothes off of there because most of the clothes are from China, And it's like thrift stores are going to become very popular. That is going to be maybe where people go to buy their clothes. And the thing is you can go into a thrift store and you can find small appliances, knickknacks, decor for your house. There's all kinds of stuff that you can find in the thrift stores that's already here. Garage sales are probably going to become more popular. Facebook Marketplace is very popular. I think people are going to look at what they have, sell what they have, and people are not. Maybe they will put a hold on buying new stuff. Well, that's going to be a problem for all the retailers. Walmart. I mean, a lot of what they get, a lot of what is in Walmart is from China, That's where it all comes from. And Walmart From what I have heard and what I've read, they don't lose money on anything. I heard a story, and this made me not like Walmart, but I think Target and all of them are kind of like this. But Walmart was probably the first one. But when Rubbermaid, that I think got bought by another company, but when Rubbermaid was Rubbermaid originally, they were selling to Walmart. Walmart was putting them on the shelf. And then the resin that they used to make their product went up in price. So they went to Walmart and they said, well, this was our price to sell to you, but the price of our resin has gone up. And, we're going to have to raise our price a little bit to you. And Walmart was like, we won't buy it. We won't put it on our shelves unless we get the price that we had before. So Rubbermaid was the one losing money, not Walmart. And like I said, Target has probably done the same thing. They've probably done the same thing, but this was a story about Walmart. And I think Rubbermaid ended up having a terrible time, because look at all the Walmart stores, and all of a sudden Walmart wasn't carrying them anymore. That hurt them. It hurt them big time. And I think they ended up getting bought by somebody else. I'm not exactly sure. If I was ever on Jeopardy, I always did really well in the category of business and industry. I always did. Rubbermaid. Oh, I think I need... Oh, Wikipedia. There we go. Okay. Rubbermaid was founded in 1920, 104 years ago, as the Worcester Rubber Company. Parent company, Newell Brands. History. Let me see. Oh, I didn't know this. In 1984, Rubbermaid acquired Little Tykes. I didn't know that. I loved Little Tykes when my kids were little. And in 1996, they acquired Graco baby products. I didn't know that. And then in 1999, Rubbermaid was purchased by Newell for $6 billion. Then Newell changed its name to Newell Rubbermaid. And then it changed again to present-day Newell Brands. In 2004, Rubbermaid was used as a prime example in the PBS Frontline documentary, Is Walmart Good for America? That's the story that I was talking about. That's what Walmart did to them. And they ended up suffering. Walmart wasn't going to suffer at all. So that when there's tariffs on stuff coming from China, Walmart is going to raise the price on us because of the tariffs they're having to pay. They're not going to lose anything. And if they do, they're not going to lose very much. It's going to be us. We're going to be the ones that are going to lose. And I don't know. I've had a love-hate relationship with Walmart. for a long time. I'm not crazy about them. I don't think they are the lowest price a lot of the time, but I don't know. They're pretty much out for themselves, and I understand. I work in a retail store. I understand that where I work, it's a small business, it's a boutique store, but if we brought everything into our store and paid a certain amount for it and sold it for that amount, there would be no profit in that. I know how business works, and I know that nobody has a business to not make money. That's what businesses do. You know, I have no problem with that. I don't have a problem with banks per se. I'm not crazy about them either. But when they loan you money at an interest rate, of course, that is how they make their money back. The thing I don't like about banks is the charges. I didn't get my money for my miscellaneous and my food. I get cash out of the ATM in the month of April. This is May 1st. I did it at the PNC, so I paid no charge. Well, I didn't do that when I was in St. Louis. And so now I'm going to have to go to the Casey's ATM, and they're going to charge me $3.25 for using that ATM machine, which that is an ATM machine. If it just dispenses money and doesn't make anything off of that money, they're not making any money either. So I have no problem with that. The problem I have is my bank will charge me $3 because I didn't use a PNC ATM. Why do they think that they can charge me $3? They take $3 from me because I didn't use a PNC ATM. I live in a small town. There is no PNC ATM, and I'm not driving 25 miles one way to save $3, actually $6.25, which I did save that in the month of April. I thought ahead. This month I didn't. And so I'm going to have to pay $6.25 to take money out of my own account. I really have a problem with that. I don't fault the ATM machine and the company that paid for that machine, that has that machine in Casey's. I don't fault them. I don't. It serves a purpose. And when you use a service, you pay for that. And I have no problem with the $3.25. I have a problem with the $3 from my own bank. That, to me, is highway robbery. And I really dislike that. I don't like overdraft charges. That hasn't happened to me for years, but I don't like that. I don't like that. When money is tight and you don't have a real big cushion in your checking account, you can misjudge something and you can end up, they'll sock you with a $30 overdraft charge. That's where they make a lot of their money. Yeah, they make their money from interest on loans. But I gotta tell you, what would happen? What would happen if the banks, what if people stopped buying cars and having payments on them? What if everybody started paying cash for their cars? I know it's not an easy thing to do. I've only been able to do it recently. But what if everybody did that? And all of a sudden, they didn't have all these mortgage loans. Do you know how much money they're making off of the people who are buying these $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 trucks? Do they know? It's like, oh my gosh. I'm gonna do this just while I'm on here. Total interest. Let's just make it $50,000 car loan for, let's do 6 years. Okay. Oh, it didn't actually tell me that. Okay. That might not be the easiest thing to do. Okay. Total loan amount. Let's do 30,000 loan term. Let's do 60 months. Interest rate. I think the interest rate is probably, let's do 6%. Start date. Okay. Calculate. All right. All right. Okay. Loan amount 30,000. Interest rate, total interest amount $4,799. So your payment is $579.98. So you would pay 34, almost 35,000 for the car. And that's 60 months. I don't know. It's kind of an old car by then. I don't know. It's just what car loans do is it takes future money to pay for now. And it's never going to be a good thing. And I think a lot of people just feel like they have to have the new car, they have to have the warranty, they have to have these things. And I just think there's a better way, There's a better way. And I think people are going to hold on to the cars they have. They're not going to replace them. They're going to keep them. Because really, if you have a good engine in your car, if your transmission and your maintenance is done, a car can last a very long time. Yeah, those other things are going to wear out. You're going to have to get brake pads. You're going to have to get new tires. You're going to have to, there's certain things that just come with owning a car. But it doesn't have to be the national debt. It really doesn't. And so, I think sometimes, what would really be neat is to go back to the prices of what they were in the 50s with today's money. That'd be amazing. That'd be pretty cool. Even if adjusted for inflation, if you went with those prices, that would be something else. That'd be pretty cool. But no, even in the 70s, like I said, my first apartment was $141, and that was furnished. Well, then I went to a studio apartment, and I paid $175. Then I went to a really nice one bedroom, and I think I paid $225, and it was too much. It was too much. I had overextended myself. My first car payment was on a 1969 Ford LTD, two-door, so it was a little sportier. Sportier looking anyway. And it was $600. I didn't have $600, but my dad wouldn't pay for any of our cars. We could not have a car until we could actually pay cash for the car or finance the car. So I couldn't do that until I was 18. And so I talked the bank into giving me, an 18-year-old, a $600 loan. So my first car payment was $36 was how much that was. And then, you know, I was a hairdresser and I started working and I was making more money and everything. So I thought, okay, I can buy a new car. So my next car cost $3,179. Now remember, my very first car was $600. So I went from $600 to $3,179. And then I had that car for a year and a half and I totaled it. And I went to a $6,000 car. So I doubled what my second car was. So that was a big jump. Doesn't sound like much now, but it was back then. And then I had that car when I got married. And then we sold it for $2,000. We didn't do too bad, actually, because I'd had it for a while. It was in 1979 and I got married in 85. So not bad. The very first house that we bought was my in-laws' house. And I think we paid $25,000 for that first house in 1988. And then in 1991, we bought a house for $32,000. And we lived in that house for 12 years. And then we moved to the St. Louis area, rented, had to pay $800 a month in 2002. And our house payment had been $400 and something, and we went from $400 and something in house payment to $800 in rent. So that was a big jump. We rented for 5 years, and then we bought a house for $98,000, just under $100,000. And that was the most expensive house I have ever bought. I bought this house that I'm in right now for $80,000. And I only owe $49,000. So that's good. I will eventually get this house paid off, but I don't have much of a mortgage. That's the other thing. People buy houses that are, you know, if you buy a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, that's a lot of money to owe. That would be scary to me. I just would be scared because you are risking, what if you lose your job? Do you have the money to make the payments for 3 months, 6 months, if for some reason something happens to your job? And we all know, if any of us have lived long enough in this country, we know recessions happen, layoffs happen. Those things happen. And with what happened back in 2008 and all the foreclosures, all the short sales, it was a mess. And I was doing real estate back then. I had been working for a builder, and I went into existing sales as a realtor in 2009. And I got to tell you, all I dealt with were short sales and foreclosures for the most part. It was sad. It was really, really sad to see how many people had lost their homes. It was just sad. And we were lucky that we bought the house we bought in 2007 before any of that happened. And the house we bought, we actually made more money that year than the house cost. That was the other thing. You're never going to be underwater. You're never going to have a problem financially if you, because the bank, I've talked about this before, but the bank, when you go to buy a house and you've got the credit score that you need, they will tell you that you can afford a house 2.5 times your income. Well, at that time, we could have afforded a $250,000 house, but we bought a $98,000 house. So when it came to what that payment was, it wasn't too much. You know, we were always conservative when it came to cars and houses, because you can't get carried away. You can get carried away. You can find yourself in a hole, and all you want to do is get out of it. So we didn't, that was not something that was part of our financial picture. Not at all. But I have gone too long. I just wanted to talk a little bit about inflation, about how things used to be and how they are now. But basically it all comes down to wages have not kept up with the cost of everything. The cost of college, the cost of gas, the cost of a car, the cost of houses. The income is not up where it needs to be. And I don't know what's going to happen with all these tariffs and everything. I know that right now it feels like it's worse before it gets better. And a lot of times that's kind of how things happen. You know, it can be a real painful time for a while and then things get better. So anyway, I enjoy doing this every day. Not every day, but I enjoy doing these videos. If you enjoyed this video, got value from it, please hit like, consider subscribing, comment, you know, tell me what you think about what's going on. We're not going to get into a political discussion. I don't really want to do that. But, you know, how do you feel about where we are in as far as inflation and all that kind of stuff? It's like, obviously, wages are lagging behind. They really are. And that is all the more reason to be frugal, to save money, to live below your means. All those things are very, very good things to do. Because when you have money in the bank saved, you have money in an IRA, you have an emergency fund, your stress level will go down. And you can face some hardships, especially financial ones, when you have that. It makes all the difference in the world. And I wasn't always there. You know, I just went through the month of April with the first month being no alimony. My income last month was $2,000 less than what it's been for the last 9 years. And I got through it just fine. I did okay. Yeah, I was real careful about where I spent my money, how much I spent. I knew down to the penny what I had. And we all need to do that. Even if you make a lot of money, you still need to know where it's going. You still need to give every dollar a name of where it's going, whether it's going to savings or it's going to your utility bill or whatever. The money needs to be told where to go. It can't just fly away, because money will do that. You will find I mean, just one more thing. If you look at what you spend during the month and take one thing for the month of May that you really know that you overspend, and you know you could save more money if you didn't spend in that area. I'm not asking you to track everything. You can do that if you want. Just track. Pick one thing to track for the month of May and see. Maybe it's food, going to the grocery store. Maybe it's going out to eat, or it's fast food. Keep track of one of those for 1 month, and you will be shocked at how much you spend and how much you needed to spend. Then you could look at those things and you could say, yeah, I needed that. Yeah, I needed that. Nope, didn't need that. Didn't need that. Add it all up. Look at what your needs were in that particular category and what your wants were, and see what they add up to. But anyway, yeah, we can get through this. We can learn to save more and more and more. Amazon loves us. Click of a button, and then it shows up at your door. That's a big trap for a lot of people because it's so easy. It is so easy. There are a few things. Last week I bought a book off of Amazon. I love the fact that it came to my door. But I would say I order from Amazon maybe 3 times a year. I don't do it on a regular basis. I just do it when I'm trying to find a specific thing that I haven't been able to find anywhere else. So anyway, I gotta go. I've been talking too long. I talked longer than I thought I would. So anyway, like I always say, and this is so true, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Till next time. Bye.